like during this meeting by asking Commissioner Thomas to make some indication. Mr. Heath, would you mind taking the place of Mr. Davis and please the pledge of allegiance after? All right.
Father God, we thank you, big God Almighty, having all power in your hands. Father, we thank you for all you've done for us, watching over us through the day. And Father, we ask that you be in this meeting, that everything we do is pleasing in your sight and in order. We thank you for those that are here. We thank you for those that are in account that are interested in what we do. Father, we ask that you protect those who are fighting in danger, in harm's way, so that we can have exercise this privilege. Please continue to bless our kind and our people. We thank you in your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Your agenda shows that we have two items, one being executive session, one being personnel litigation. I'd like to modify the agenda. I'd like to see for a motion to proceed executive session with some time with the administrator to discuss and approve response times and personnel for the EMS.
Second motion.
Have a motion and second discussion.
Second.
Commissioner Myers,
Yes.
Commissioner McCrary,
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox.
Yes. Chairman, I was also looking if we want, whether or not possessed we can add conditions.
I'll make a motion to modify the agenda also to place time for the commission. I'll make a motion that we have items with the commissioner as item 7 on the agenda.
It's going to be after this discussion,
That's right.
being asked for the written approval possible. That's pertaining to
I think you see. I have a motion before.
Okay, so you're gonna add items with commissioners after executive session or before? After executive session.
I'll say it. That'll work.
Commissioner McCrary,
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox,
yes.
Commissioner Myers.
Yes. Mr. Jefferson, you and Mr. Johnson have been doing some due diligence, I think, with HR, trying to come up with some solutions for our EMS response times and lack of personnel. You present some stuff to the board.
Yes, sir. Some of it I need to discuss in a session, but, you know, everybody is struggling with manpower, paramedics, their marketplace is obviously. It's not just Southeast Georgia, Wayne County, it's all over. And, you know, so we have to adjust. And so what I'm recommending is the increase of entry level of paramedics to grade 17, 12. And I'm going to ask for that. We'll talk about it more in detail. And adjust other paramedics and compensation through the ability to increase merit about 7 steps. At an estimated cost between $85,000 and $100,000 to the county on a yearly basis. The second thing is the follow-up of basically what we presented last fall.
Mr. Jefferson, what you're recommending is erase the positions of people. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Upon y'all's approval to allow me to do that.
That's what we finished.
And I got some details I can talk about. I can't talk about it in open public about the individuals of there. So the second thing is that the recommended start process of you know, we asked for an additional crew, 24-hour crew, full-time, 8 positions, full-time. That's a net cost to the county, as we estimate, of about $230,000.
With the new wages or with the previous?
With the new wages. I will, be able to, have two full-time crews up there. We won't necessarily need the part-time, crew on a regular basis up there, but, we will still use part-time people, I mean, periodically. The part-time, it will give us ability to man and the resources needed for adequate coverage throughout the county. This has been a long time coming. We basically got a truck and a half on call as we present it, and most counties have two. We will still use our backups as we recommended and as we do right now with the private sector, two different private sector groups. But, I can talk about a little more detail of that in the executive session. On salary side, on individuals. That's what we got. All right, I can talk about a little more detail of that.
Next question. So, as far as the transports, do we do transports in non-emergency or leave county vacant position? No ambulance, do we do that?
Absolutely not.
So it's not emergency, we don't leave no coverage.
Any of the transports out of the hospital here are going to a higher level of care. So it's not. Any of the transports out of the hospital here are going to a higher level of care. So it's not. Any of the transports out of the hospital here are going to a higher level of care. So it's not. Any of the transports out of the hospital here are going to a higher level of care. So it's not. Any of the transports out of the hospital here are going to a higher level of care. So it's not. Any of the transports out of the hospital here are going to a higher level of care. So it's not. Any of the transports out of the hospital here are going to a higher level of care. So it's not. Any of the transports out of the hospital here are going to a higher level of care.
And it's 20 minutes later, the lady called back, find out if they're coming, but she didn't try to get into the hospital herself. And I wrote her in the letter, she finds out, no, they're coming. So she could have had she known for 20 minutes there beforehand, she could have unloaded her husband up and got into the hospital. And even at that phone call, when that phone call was made, that according to her, I haven't seen the transcript, that again, they said they're coming. When they came, it was the fire department and they lost it. And she still had to wind up carrying it to the hospital and had no, the procedure needs to be in place. If you had 10 ambulances, you can have the same thing happen. That's right. But we need to make sure we have a procedure in place that if there's nobody going, somebody needs to let somebody know that. I mean, you don't know.
We follow state procedure, and I think state procedure has some parameters on how much you can share with the patient that you're going to call. I don't think that we can, as an EMS, we can set a time and say how far, all you say is one way, somebody's going to
But they weren't playing the leadership. At that time, there was nobody on the way. From that first 20 minutes, it was after 20 minutes, and then it was the fire department, it was not an EMS.
No, sir.
So when we do a transport, you say that we have mutual aid. We do that transport, if it's out of county, then we have to wait for that ambulance to come from another county to handle our 911 calls, right?
No,
Generally, there's an ambulance here. There's a,
Well, you were saying the other day that somebody got back from a transport at 3 o'clock in the morning, and that's when we would have one ambulance, correct?
That's right. Well, but the thing we proposed during the economic growth challenge retreat we had last year would have enabled us to put on 2 trucks is what we had for. And at that time, had that occurred, we would have had 2 trucks in the county. Our truck was still here. They were on a separate cardiac arrest. We would have had adequate staff and our truck wasn't gone. They were tied up because we were only a lot.
No, I'm talking about the one that was at 3, where we did a transport. We did an actual transport. That's what I'm worried about, is the coverage when we're doing transports. And hopefully today we'll resolve some of that problem. But I think our first and foremost, we need to make sure the public is taken care of.
Absolutely.
And make sure that if they're going on the transport, we still have a 911 ambulance available to take care of that. And it would not be mutual aid from another county, because, I mean, you can imagine how long it takes to get somebody from there, and they're gone anywhere from 3 to 5, 6 hours sometimes on those transports, correct?
Yes, but just let me clarify, because I think there may be a little confusion if I may. We don't ever leave Wayne County with no Wayne County ambulance in the county. We don't ever leave. No.
So does that include, you're just talking about on call, there'll be one?
No, sir, I'm talking about people on duty. We never leave the county without a Wayne County ambulance in the county, under any circumstances, at any time.
So that late night call he's talking about, y'all gonna call somebody in to cover while that happened?
If we go out of town,
Well, the one he was referring to at night.
we do, yeah,
The
one,
transport.
3 a day, I don't know which particular
The
call.
transport you were telling me about. And they got back, I mean, they were here the last time, I don't remember which one it was, but, they got back on from a transport at 3:30.
Oh, yeah, there was people here while they were gone, absolutely, calling for it.
But again, even if that transport's gone, and we've got an EMS ambulance on staff, and that EMS ambulance is on a call, you're still back in the same boat. The only thing you can do there is have 3 full-time on duty. It's gonna happen at times that all of the ambulances are tied up.
I understand that, but I was just talking about on a transport, if we're doing transport, and we're talking about people that are having to work 48 hours, and we're going on a transport, and I assume you're saying that you have to call an ambulance in.
Currently, with our current staffing levels, if we're leaving the county, yes, sir, if somebody comes in before we leave.
So have we stopped that?
But we're only approved for 1 24-hour truck. So, same thing, I mean, until you guys, or if you decide to approve the second 24-hour truck, then that would solve that problem.
We go a long way into resolving that problem, yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I believe that Ed, Richard, Angie, and the Davidson, plus other input, have come up with a proposal that will add that extra personnel for the second full-time truck and cut out a lot of the stress on our current employees that are pulling so many hours. I mean, Richard's been on ambulance himself, and David's been on ambulance himself, trying to help cover it. And I think his proposals will take care of that. Again, we're still going to need to keep the assistance of the private ambulance services as a backup, and possibly utilize some part-time help.
So if what's proposed, you guys approve it, we got 2 trucks on duty, we get somebody's had whatever needs to go to Memorial. We'll call in another crew and we'll have 2 trucks here. We don't have a crew on call. What we aim to do is keep 2 trucks here in the county, is what we aim to do.
So there's two, the proposal is to have 2 trucks, 2 crews on duty. And then there is a off-duty, on-call, crew.
That is rested, hopefully.
Yes, they 24 hours, and it'd be 12 hours, 48 hours on call. No, it's 24, and then 48 hours.
We're 24 on call, 24, and then you're off.
It's been long enough when we had, that's something that's gotta happen, because we know the gravity of it. I still go back to the issue of what protocols in place, because I don't care if you have 10. There could be a situation where nobody's going. The people, there has to be a protocol to let that person know you need to load your own person up to care of the hospital. Because when they sit there and wait and nobody comes.
And can you weigh in on what we're allowed to share and direct as an EMS service to private individuals?
So probably not as clearly as Donnie Ray could if he was here. I talked to him after the last meeting for a good while about kind of what our procedures and where we got our procedures from. And essentially our 911 procedures. And Sheriff, you please elaborate or correct me if I say something wrong. But the way I understand it, you know, basically the procedures that are laid out for our operators in the 911 center come directly from the state. So we're in compliance with the set of procedures that the states recommend. Specifically to what you're talking about as to why they don't reach out and tell somebody that they're not coming. Like Commissioner Hickok said, there's never a situation where they're not coming. They may be tied up on another call, multiple ambulances may be tied up. They're coming. The reason that they don't, and again, I wish Donnie Ray was here to maybe articulate this a little bit better, but the reason that they don't tell somebody that they're not coming is because of the fear that, you know, a spouse or, you know, a loved one or somebody's going to throw, you know, that person, whether they're having a heart attack or whatever condition they're in a vehicle and drive at such a fast pace or in such a condition that they're going to cause more wrecks and more chaos than, you know, or more harm to the patient actually than what they would be waiting there for, you know, an extra few minutes. There's, you know, again, things.
It does, Ralph.
No, I can see,
It
I can
actually
see the
does.
police.
The other thing you have to consider, there's a possibility, if our EMS or 911 personnel were to tell somebody, no, we can't get there for 25 minutes, you might as well load up and bring them. And they pass an ambulance on the way, and then that person doesn't make it.
In your case, what you're saying, Herschel, there's somebody coming. I understand that scenario if we're talking about law enforcement. Because obviously, if the sheriff don't have a deputy to respond to a crime or something, he don't want them to know that. But in the event of someone is having a heart attack, they need to be getting to the hospital. Well, if there's an ambulance coming in your scenario, yeah, then stay away.
And again, you gotta keep
They know they're not.
in mind that the operators try to keep, if the volume allows them to, they try to stay on the phone with that person until an EMT service or EMS service arrives. Walk them through life-preserving or life-saving techniques as much as they can while they're on the phone. Telling somebody that they're not going to come really just kind of opens the door for, you know, other serious possible consequences versus
Including my eye.
well, again, you know, things have to be taken on the priority of a call. So, you know, if a call comes in that somebody, you know, is running a fever and can't get to the hospital, that's not going to take top priority versus somebody that, you know, is exhibiting signs of a heart attack or something. So even though, you know, nobody's forgotten about it, nobody's not coming to the person with fever and the hacking cough, even though in this day and age it might be a serious illness, you know, the heart attack's probably going to take priority. Again, that's the way the state guidelines will outline, and that's the way the sheriff, am I correct? And
Yes, sir, and one of the reasons they don't furnish an estimated time of arrival is that creates liability too, if you're not there. And the way, if I may, I actually spoke with Miss Amy Robertson, the 911 director, and she said that by protocol, they dispatched the call, and then really and truly it's the EMS that calls for aid from other agencies or hired as gentlemen. So they really don't know that well, they know that the ambulances are busy, but they don't know from where the ambulance is coming.
Not so
it's- Sir?
I wasn't intending what I was saying to not the 911 dispatcher. I'm just thinking, if you're that person at the house who you call, if they're aware that they don't have anybody available, pass that information back to that person. It's not my thing.
Well, no, I can see your point. But if you got EMTs out there, and they're working as hard as they can, it's the same amount they're dealing with right then. I'm sure the last thing that's going to come to their mind is, we got to call Penny, we need to stop what we're doing and go call somebody and say, we're not doing it. It's just not the way, it's not like your business and my business when we get a service call.
I'm not suggesting.
I know, I'm trying to make an analogy so that you'll understand. There are times that people cannot say, hey, we can't get there. You know, it may be that they had the person ready in the ambulance loaded up coming to the hospital, and everything was well and good, and they can figure, okay, it's taking us 15 minutes to get to the hospital, unload this patient, reload, clean up the stretcher, and go again, we'll be there in 35, 40 minutes. And then on the way to the hospital, that patient will be COVID. then what they've just told dispatch to call people back and tell them is now an untruth. So there we are in a lifeless situation because we provided the timeframe, we're gonna be there so we can meet. So I don't think that that is an option. I think the option is, let's put more people on and do the best we can to prevent severe.
We're already doing, we're talking that.
And I would say too, there, I mean, you know, procedures always need to be reviewed and all, but that's in the context of the people that know about this and know the subject, and let Donnie Ray go with GMA or whoever the E911 association is and review this with statewide. We don't need to be, in my opinion, you know, there may be an issue that we need to look at, but it needs to be discussed with people over there that understand the ramifications of any decision that are made.
Just for the clarification on that, we're on the call, we get the second call from dispatch. We're on call. And we don't have any units available. We call dispatch back. Hey, please contact mutual aid for that.
When you say mutual aid, I'm just trying to misunderstand. I consider mutual aid in the county. Do you consider mutual aid when you call the private agencies?
Yes, sir, and they call the one that's located in Jessup first.
So when you count mutual aid, you count the private, not the government.
It could be both. If the goal, let's say, the Golden Miles is a backup private ambulance service in the county right now. Say they're on call, and then your next step is to call Excelsior, example in Long County, or whoever is available closest.
And we've contacted Pierce County before. We were tied up and there's a call in that area. I said, we call dispatch, please call Pierce County, see if they can send a truck in Scrivener. I mean, I try to dispatch the closest available ambulance where it's needed.
So if you have a call come in,
Yeah.
and our ambulance is at a cardiac call, and another cardiac call comes in, and you call your three options and the privates, and they all three are tied, would you then call a mutual aid from another county, so someone is coming? Is that the case, or are we waiting for somebody to free up?
After we are tied up, we call dispatch. 911, they contact somebody. And they should, I mean, dispatch first responders.
Well, then what you said makes sense, if they go down the chain, they called you, you have nobody, they called the three, they have nobody, then we're gonna call Long County, at least someone is coming, might take longer. But if you call the privates, and they can't come right now, and you can't come right now, that means nobody's coming. That's why I say that they can come. Am I making sense with
Yeah,
that?
you're making sense with it, but it gets into the way above my pay grade on whether we can legally do that, and I think probably above Andy's knowledge right now, because we're learning this, but we can do that.
I'll look here, that ain't I'm not an expert at it, but when I read a letter, I'd like to see there's nobody going to them at the time, nobody's actually allowed to them. That person could have got the car and carried it. If that was you, might, you had a heart attack.
I had a heart attack and I called, and they said, we're gonna send somebody. And so when we hung up, I looked at Wayne and I said, you can get me there way faster than they can. So we get in the car, we start going, and I asked her, I said, baby, please, don't kill me in this car. I said, don't kill me in the car. You know, I'm not gonna kill me in the car.
It would have been 30 minutes and nobody came.
Yeah. But I mean, they didn't tell me they were coming. They said, we're coming. But I could tell in their voice, it wasn't right away. If the administrator's information is clear enough, I'm going to make a motion that we authorize the administrator, working with the administrator, give them authority to increase the pay grades of the entry-level positions and modify existing salaries to help us fill the positions we need to fill, and also to put on the second full-time bus to alleviate this having happened again.
Just the entry level, you fund it once the level spent as well, just if you have not across.
With an entry level, it's going to increase proportionally, to retain the ones we already have.
Or we still gonna have two paramedics on the 24-hour trucks, or we gonna have a paramedic and an EMT?
Well, it depends, our goal is to have two paramedics.
Our goal is to have two paramedics, we'll staff to have two paramedics on each truck. Now, there'll be times that we may utilize a paramedic and an EMT. We're actually doing that, Richard and his group are actually training.
I got a motion on the floor. Let me get a second. then we'll get a discussion. All right, motion second.
Repeat the
Now,
motion, please.
now, the motion is to authorize the administrator, working with the EMS director, to increase the entry-level salary points for the paramedics from grade 17 to 12 to 17, and adjust other paramedic compensations to the ability to increase the merit up to 7 steps at an estimated cost of $8,000 per year to the county.
That's a grade 17, step 12.
We're going, in that motion, also amend the budget, or something.
I would say we could do that separately once we realize exactly how much it's all wrong. You know, because that's going to be based on the applications we get, the funding it's going to take to back them up.
Let me get closer to the end of the year with Commissioner before we amend the budget, because
I won't be able to make the budget against the last amendment of the budget anyway. That's neither here nor there.
Because we last 2 years, don't do it, commercial hires.
Any more discussion?
Yes. At the last meeting, you said you hadn't had any applicants for paramedics. Have you had any since our last meeting?
We have that.
And the reason I bring it up by two paramedics on a truck is because obviously it's easier to get an EMT than a paramedic. And if we don't open that EMT job up where we can have a paramedic and an EMT on that truck, then you can't put a second truck because you don't have paramedics and you're waiting on 2 more paramedics for the second truck. You see what I'm saying?
And you're saying to make it where it's a paramedic and an EMT if need be, but preferably 2 paramedics.
we're
That would be either or.
Other counties don't have 2 paramedics. Most of the ones that I talk to don't have 2 paramedics on the truck. They do that on an emergency trauma truck.
Okay.
And that's what I'm saying. If we can't get the paramedics, in the meantime, I feel like we need to put an EMT at minimum because that covers the truck, correct?
That's our plan to staff it with what we can buy.
Right.
You know, we got a pool, like Mr. Jeffers said, part-time EMTs and paramedics. That we can find full-time people that's interested in coming here. We will certainly, we do that almost daily now on a 12-hour truck. There's a lot of days, there's an EMT and paramedic, and there's, you know.
Well, and like I say, I'm still looking at the fact that some of these people are working 48-hour shifts. I feel like that we need to do whatever we can to get some help as quick as possible.
Absolutely.
And if that's to split up 2 paramedics and put 2 EMTs with them, and we can still have the 2 trucks.
Yes, sir, that's our goal, that's what we said. We're going into the direction to have all positions filled by paramedics. It gives us flexibility, but certainly a paramedic, if they're not there, we'll team them up with an EMT, yes, sir. And that's what we do right now.
Absolutely.
And we'll continue that practice.
So do we have a job position open for EMTs?
They'll fill that position. I don't have a job position for EMTs. I don't want that would be more cost over there to send it. But if I have a full staff of paramedics, we'll use EMTs as part-time. Yes.
Yeah,
But EMTs would be a part-time kind of situation and bring them in. We use them right now. And we're saying the same thing is that in managing 2 crews, I'd rather have a full staff of paramedics, and then if somebody's out, I'm short a paramedic, and you tell them they're gonna have 2 paramedics on duty, then somebody's gonna have to fill that position. Otherwise, we use it as an EMT. I want to go into a direction of having full paramedics and use EMTs as a farming system over there to fill in part-time and fill in on sharing a truck.
Wait, I haven't even made that motion yet. So let's.
Well, I
Let's
don't,
vote on the motion that I have a motion and a second on, which is to increase the pay rates right now, what we got to help the staff openings we have. Then I'll go into the second motion.
I need the 1712, and what I'm asking for is 7 steps.
Right. Motion second on the rest. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox,
Yes.
Commissioner Hires,
Yes.
Commissioner McCreary.
Yes.
All right, now I'll make a motion that we add an additional 24-hour crew, authorize the administrator to add 24-hour crew, to Wayne County EMS with an estimated cost of $230,000 for the year.
Second.
Discussion.
If you're adding that number, why are you
Well, it ain't gonna be 230,000 for the rest of this year, and it's gonna take us some time to get that extra crew on there. We use it part-time, but it'll take us time to get a full staff for where we're gonna be up there. But it's an estimated going forward, that's gonna be a hit, yes. Net.
Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox,
Yes.
Commissioner Hires,
Yes.
Commissioner McCreary,
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts.
Yes. Okay, next item on the agenda, we'll make a motion that we retire to executive session, discuss personnel and some pending litigation.
Wait a second.
Motion second.
Commissioner Hickox,
Yes.
Commissioner Hires,
Yes.
Commissioner McCreary,
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas.
Yes.
Here, you let us in there.
I'm coming.
I'm still on Facebook Live if anybody has anything they want to add to that discussion.
I want to add something to it. One of them were saying,
Can you introduce yourself?
Kathy Crosby. And, one of the, they're going to, they're saying that he had his wife put him in a car and take him to the hospital faster. What if you have a 100-pound wife and you're a 300-pound baby? How's she gonna be able to put you in a car and get you to the hospital faster? And if nobody's coming, they need to be told they're not coming. Or that they're delayed. They don't have to say they're not coming, they can say they're being delayed at another call, but not, nothing.
I'm Erin Smith, I'm Rusty Smith's daughter. As far as when they commented that it would be reckless for someone to drive if they were notified, if that's the case, why not send police escort to their home and escort them to the hospital so that it's safer and it clears the lanes out and it gets them there faster.
And my name is Alicia Moore, I am also the daughter of the police officer. This is pretty much about. I just wanted to say that money should not be that 30,000 residents should be free and we should be quarters of it should not be free. This isn't just about us, this is about everybody who lives in this town. And it didn't have a heart attack. It wasn't a heart attack, so they don't. It wasn't our.
What was the situation? If you can tell us, if you can't tell us.
There was one person called the ambulance and said that his oxygen was dropping and he was in the ER earlier that day and they said they rushed to the hospital as soon as his oxygen got below 90. And she called and it was 80.
She called and it was 79, and then, she said it was in the 70s, but it's 79. They said they're toning someone out. So after they toned someone out, she took guys and was on their way. And then 20 minutes later, she calls back, his oxygen steady dropping, it's in the low 70s now. And she asked if it would be quicker for her to drive or if the ambulance is on the way, and they said, we're on the way. Someone is on the way, basically advised her not to drive and said that they'll be there soon. So,
And then a fire rescue truck came, not an ambulance, with no oxygen on the truck, and as soon as they got there, advised her to take him, or told her to put him in the car, and advised him to take him to the ER. So that could have been all involved in the.
What was the time frame from the original call?
The original call took place at 10:19, and no one came on scene until 10:44, and as soon as they got there, the fire responder. As soon as they got there, they told her that they had no oxygen on the truck, and that she needed to get him to the hospital as soon as possible. So, that was what they advised her to do, and this was just, probably probably around 5 to 7 minutes after her phone call saying that where she was told not to. We're advised that someone was.
He went into heart, he went in heart failure by the time he got, his heart went into, what do they call it? His heart stopped by the time he got to the hospital.
So after she got on the way to the hospital, he was in and out of
But it was because the oxygen had gotten too low.
After he was on the way to the hospital, he was in and out of consciousness, and by the time she made it into the hospital parking lot, he started seizing and coded. She went inside there and couldn't get anyone to come out to the people. Finally, the nurse came, and the one nurse was yelling for people to come out, and no one ever came out. So the one nurse couldn't get him out of the vehicle by himself. Bystander helped him get my dad out of the vehicle and onto a gurney. And they stopped my mom. How you doing? Completely unrelated to this story. It was very emotional for my mother, which is why she cannot be here. She was definitely emotional from that.
Graphs that someone dropped off in my office yesterday. These are 2017 numbers. And I know I heard this 3 times that they asked in a retreat for a second truck. These are 2017 numbers. So my question is, did they add another truck in 2017 and somehow lost the truck? Or 2018, or 2019, or 2020? It's obvious by that number. We asked for mutual aid 77 times. It's not possible that there was enough trucks on the road to service the county. This is the number of ambulances per 1,000 people that other counties have. There's the, so Blaine County has 7 ambulances. Liberty has 4 ambulances. And that's 3,000 people.
So it's
I think that's right. 4 ambulances. And we have 1 ambulance for every 10,000. Oh, this is for 10,000 people.
One ambulance per 10,000.
Somebody can get that.
So we have 1 ambulance for 30 full-time for 30,000, which this is again a 2017 number. So I don't know what happened in 2017, 18, 19, or 20, and other ambulances were put on, and then somehow we lost them. I don't know. I think something right. there's the population. So Glenn County has 80, in 2017, had 80,000 population, and they had 70. Liberty County had 62,000 population, and they had 4 ambulances. Wayne County has 30,000 residents. I think that is part of the discussion, and this information is from 2017. Here's another graph that kind of tells us what this is mutual aid calls from other counties. The spike number right here is from so all these other counties is from 41, 5, A private citizen did all this work. It was obviously when they came into my office yesterday, they said they took these numbers to our county administration. Now, those numbers were 2017. This is for 2020. So obviously, they never gave up. But it is. I can feel somebody's burden to do all this work. I can't imagine how they felt as a paramedic knowing that these girls had died because they were good. I think the call for help has become better. I don't know what happened. Maybe there were 4 instances. I never saw this information. Well, yesterday.
Yes. Yes.
Through the city. I thought they were supposed to go to the groundbreaking for James Bacon. The school board asked the commission to go to the groundbreaking for James Bacon. I don't know what happened. But I know that they just approved this wage hike at $80,000. 2 meetings ago, they approved Crayola drawings for the new judicial system at $79,000. I don't know how you tell this is a burden for an ambulance service when they're entertaining a $30 million courthouse. We can't staff ambulances. But we can pay for Crayola drawings at $80,000. But it all depends on the public. When they have enough, they'll come to these meetings and they'll say, not. It's just how much pain can you take from a newspaper that doesn't print your name? Huh? I don't know. Nobody should. It's the truth. That is just the truth. Okay, you don't have to tell me. I'm an American. I'm entitled to my truth. And you spin yours. You spin yours and you put it in print. And And it's just, and it's not right. What you did to me on January 6th is inexcusable. Yes. Yes. You. I don't know. I have no idea. So you don't have to comment. Or you can comment. It's America. You get that right. I have rights. You have rights. You can comment. You're entitled to it. But when I say that you don't print the truth, that's my truth. You don't print the truth.
I'm not sure you know.
I know what mine is. I know what mine is.
That's your problem.
I know. Oh, that's my fault. Well, I guess we all have those problems.
I don't know what you're accusing me of.
I'm not accusing you of anything.
You said I didn't print the truth about you. What are you talking about? I'm offended. You know, I'm an honest
This
person.
is the United States of America. We are the land of the independent.
I'm an honest person. I would never
I know.
intentionally say anything that was false. And you sit there and say that about me and won't say what it is.
We all know what happened to January 6th. Everyone is.
I want you to know that I'm an honest person.
I appreciate that very much. I am too. And we should be able to find common ground.
Keep that royal boy in line back there.
Lordy. Are they talking about you in there?
Hey, I'm sure somewhere there's somebody cussing me. They might not be right now, but they will be soon.
Oh, you're a new guy. They'll be working on you a little later.
Hey,
They'll do it in front of you and behind your back and over your side.
That's right. That's right. Lord.
I don't know about you, but I'm ready to go to the house.
Yeah. Tell you what, I went to that revival last night. I stayed at the first game until it was about time for them to take in the church. When I heard to sit and make sure the traffic was right, that Tom Bates was coming. That joke was preaching.
Yes, sir.
There was a crowd there. So I walked in to listen to him. I couldn't leave. I stayed until the service was over.
It's amazing how somebody can grab you.
Yes. Oh, there's no doubt he's anointed. I'm telling you. He does good. I had never heard of him. Today.
Knew the scripture, huh?
Yes, sir. Yes, but he didn't have to study it either. I'm telling you, he was spitting it out.
I didn't see that. Where was that at?
Sir,
Where was it at?
it was at Crossroads. He'll be there again tonight. It starts at 7. And then he's gonna be somewhere else at another church in Wayne County. I think tomorrow night or Thursday night.
They're all service. You can't compare one.
Is there some reason that, our hospital doesn't staff it? I mean, how many are you going to
You having trouble getting deputies?
Oh, yes, sir. This is the sad thing I did. I've got 3 paramedics and 4 EMTs working for me. This payroll is liable to stick.
Ooh, yeah.
Hurt my head.
That's gonna, all the county employees, if they find that out, are gonna be.
I've had several.
So would that affect them? That pay raise?
I don't know. Are you recording still?
Yeah.
No comment. I'm learning. I'm learning.
I'm just curious. I'm not asking you on the record or anything.
I'm filled up with you, Mr. John. We are gathering here today. I feel like George Bush. He would have tore this wall down on Houston, y'all.
The motion that he made on that they approved just applies to the EMS strictly, I would assume.
I think at this time, yeah.
They'd have to
But
do something different. change.
that's bound to have some repercussions throughout the county because I think every department is short of people.
The sheriff's department don't really have any pay raise needs.
Hey, Lord have mercy. Yes, sir.
Here's another question for you. This is off the record. I was looking on Facebook today and I saw Grace.
Now it's off the record.
The sheriff's badge is her post, Grace Kennard. Does she work for you?
No, sir. She got a badge where?
On her Facebook page, her profile. You know who I'm talking about, Grace Kennard? She's got a different name now, but that's who I know. And, there's no comment there. I'm trying to figure out why she got this here, And it's like, and I
don't have Facebook, but I'll try to find somebody that does. But
is it a Wayne County
they're not
badge?
supposed to. They're not supposed to.
yeah, and it has a number on it. I don't know.
Might have been honoring. I'd be honoring somebody that's.
But I can tell you,
I turn the mics off.
Yeah, by policy, they shouldn't have any identified sheriff's officer.
No.
I thought it was kind of odd. I don't really know her. I used to just see her when I go to
Yes.
JPD.
Yep, she resigned
Yeah.
I think she started as a dispatcher. She been here for a while.
I do the crime report, you know, and so she was who I talked to about reports and stuff.
Yeah, I think the road department's 6 or 7 short. Maintenance is short. Assessor's office is short.
We're about back up, but what we had. But then the extra things that they're fixing to need us to do.
Yeah. Well, you're going to have to, for this court security, you're going to have people for that. Good luck finding them.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. You, whenever you calculate, if you're gonna have 3 courtrooms I actually got 4 in the court.
We haven't been
So
unless.
the court security section now.
Yeah, if they have like 3 courtrooms, you're not only the officers and that, you're going to have somebody on metal detectors on the 3 times.
Well, that's the thing. We've got I think Calcott's already got some ones that we can use for any annex places that we use.
Yeah, and you know, I listen to them back there fussing about why they haven't raised it. And then on the next hand, they'll say, why is my taxes so high?
That's right. Well, that's the thing. There's a cause and effect. I'm telling you. And if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm just saying, when we first were, 10, 15 years ago, but it was, it's not about the money. It's about a passion. We do it because we love it. We want to help people. It's not about the money.
You just need the equipment and drugs to do it with.
So it's not, you know what I'm saying, that's just my personal opinion. I know a lot of my coworkers I work with, they feel the same way. We're just passionate about it. You know, we show up, we do the dang thing, and we go home to our families.
Yeah, if they want to come back in, I want to let them back in.
I don't want to be trapped. It's just like they said. There's times if you got somebody that's
Yeah, and you can. To me, don't call somebody and say you ain't coming. You're always coming. You might be late, but you're always coming.
well, that's the thing. If they told them they wouldn't do that, they would look in their personal
That don't need insurance. I mean, you might have some that don't need insurance, so if you pay them more, they're gonna come. Because they're gonna go somewhere else and make $20.
Here they come.
If they don't need insurance. Technically, you need insurance.
I did. I'm that way. I wouldn't be trapped.
I'm thinking about somebody needs to escape quickly. I thought you were talking about the Christian.
Yeah, the drug dogs are working back here. They found some drugs on there or something?
I'll make a motion to exit executive session.
Second.
Second.
Commissioner Myers,
Yes.
Commissioner McCreary,
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Hickox.
Yes.
In regards to executive session personnel, no action taken. In regards to litigation, no action taken. Item number 7 on the agenda, adopted commissioner. Hickox.
Yeah, anyway, in reference to, Mr. Harrison saying that, not looking for a amended budget, I'll continue not looking at the budget. And it's being done 3 months after the year's over. As soon as we start amending it, as we do it, I'll be more than glad to amend it at the end of the year. Because our process is we're supposed to amend it as you change it, not at the end of the year. So from that, I got a letter that I possessed to read. It's from the daughter of the gentleman who passed away from that incident. And so I'm just going to read what she wrote. Hello, my name is Erin Smith, daughter of the late Rusty Smith of Jessup, Georgia, the 49-year-old man who passed. I want to shed some light on his story because I feel it is pertinent to this session. On April 14th at 10:19 p.m., my mother called 911, asked for ambulatory assistance due to my father's oxygen falling to 79 after a few hours of him leaving the hospital. She was told they were being toned out. She then called back about 20 minutes later to inquire if she needed to drive him or if an ambulance would be there soon, where she was told they were on the way. So, at 10:44 p.m., first responders arrived to inform my mother that she would need to drive my father, and they had no option. They assisted in loading him into the vehicle, and then they left. He was in and out of conscious on the way there and went into cardiac arrest as she was pulled into the hospital parking lot before my mother could get any assistance. She saw it all. My father was not a number or a statistic. He was a veteran, a father, a husband, a brother, and all around a righteous man. He is sorely missed by everyone. There isn't a number I would pay to have kept my father alive. So I ask you commissioners, is there a number you would call quits on your family? If your wife was in my father's position, would you do something about this no matter the cost? The citizens we are losing due to this issue of crisis. It is time there is something finally done about this. I hope you step up, commissioners, because you are our voice. Sincerely, Erin Smith, and in regard to that, Ms. Smith and the family of, we are doing something about it. We are adding an ambulance. And I would like to ask Mr. Jeffers to start looking into the feasibility of if we do need a third ambulance or other options. This falls back to what I was talking about earlier. My concern was, and I don't know what the law is. I'm not a lawyer. Many of you are. And I'm not sure if I don't do 911. But if I was sitting there with my loved one doing a cardiac arrest and I made a phone call, if there weren't a truck, somebody in it driving that way, I would like somebody to call me so I could do like Mike Roberts did and get his wife to drive him to the hospital. I don't know what procedure has to be put in place to make that happen, and it may not have made any difference in this case, but it may have. If she had known that, it might have made a difference. And if that was your husband, or that was your wife, or that was your daughter, or your son, you might see it that way. I know every commissioner up here, we know if we do, we can do something to stop that moving there. There's not one commissioner on this board without confidence would want to see something like that happen, or would not do something to prevent it. So I'm asking we do look into that issue about allowing someone to know that it's not coming. Very sorry.
Thank y'all for getting the numbers together. I felt like we should have had them at the first meeting we had, our regular monthly meeting, but at least we've got them now. Hopefully we can move forward with this and get that next truck put on there so that we can start answering some of our calls that we are responsible for, and more of them, and we don't have to ask for mutual aid and things like that. As Ralph said, we can also monitor this and see if we're gonna need a third truck, and that way we can, I would like an update from y'all whenever you do get the other truck put on, and you can man it, and we have people available to, man those trucks, because I know you got, 4 shifts on it? So I would like an update on that so that we know that the citizens are protected. That's all I have.
Thank you for your attendance. Thank you, EMS, first responders, fire, which sometimes we on the dollar side fail. Sometimes we get it right. But this time we get it right, we can finish after. My condolences to the family of all. Thank you. Now, we're patient for the motion to adjourn.
So moved, sir.
Mr. Secretary, thank you for your attendance.
All right.